Good morning, good morning, good morning. So, I hope everyone is happy and healthy as always. We are going to start working on your final exam. You will have today, Friday, and next Wednesday in order to finish your exam. Now, you do have a practice quiz today. It's basically showing me that you know how to do the basic skills. And this gives me an opportunity, if you are struggling with how to do the technology piece, to provide you support in the next week prior to the exam coming due. I want you to be successful. This should be fun and maybe a little bit interesting. At least I hope it's going to allow you to be a little bit more creative. Um, so I want to make sure that you are successful. So you need to go to the final exam practice quiz. You're going to follow a link to this image, and the image is this. It is a bridge. It's an overpass bridge in Columbus, Indiana. So my grandparents live in Nashville, Indiana. Um, and this overpass was created years upon years and years and years and years ago. But it was the first like artsy fartsy bridge that was created that I'd ever seen. So when I think of fancy bridges in the world, this is one of the first ones that kind of pops up to me. So it's on Interstate 65 as you head south towards Louisville. It's where State Road 46 intersects. So it has this nice arch and then this line that goes through it. And so I want to try and replicate this the best I can. So the first thing you need to do is follow the link on the assignment and download and save this. So I have already saved it. And then you're going to go to Desmos. The link is in there. If you have not already done so, you need to sign in. The first thing you're going to do is click the sign in. If it asks you when you sign in, you have to create an account. Most of you have done it, but there may have been a few of you that were absent. Go ahead and sign in with Google. And you can see I have very quickly signed in. If you have not done so, you will have to sign. Yes, put your information in. It is perfectly fine. This is important though. Please make sure you have signed in here. Next thing, we're going to change, because the reason why you can't do this is you can't change the name of the graph in order to, unless you have a sign in. So you're then going to come over here and you're going to click on Untitled Graph, and you are going to put your name. So you're going to say Adam's example, or Jaden's example, or Darren's example, or Jose's example. I don't care whatever, yeah, but please put your name and put example. All right. So you're going to do this for each of your exam questions. So you're going to do this, and instead of being example, you'll say photo upload 1, photo upload 2, photo upload 3. And you're like, what? We're going to do some photo uploads? Yes, we're going to do some photo uploads. So I then want you to go to the plus sign where it says add item. And then you can see here it has image. So again, all I'm going to do is go to the plus sign where it says add item, and I'm going to click on image. And you are going to click on the saved file, the download, that you just did. So mine should be my downloads. What did I call it? And sometimes you have to remember what you called it. I thought I called it bridge. Well, if not, then you save it again. Save image. It's on desktop. Save. I-65 bridge. So go back to Desmos, image. It was on my desktop and it was I-60. Oh, I had it saved. Okay, and open. So you're going to see that it's going to go ahead and upload the image on the graph. I want to keep the center for each one of them at 0, 0. But you can go ahead and change the width and the height. And I'm going to change the width to 25 and the height to 15. Let's change it to 20. Let's see what happens. Yes, let's change it to 20. Okay. So again, the first thing you're going to do is upload an image. And you're going to zoom into it. You're going to adjust it how you need to on the graph. Okay, so if you move it, oh wait, I'm just moving the graph. So you have to click on it. You can just drag it. There's this thing called an aspect ratio. If you want to keep that the same, the aspect ratio the same, you should always go from the corners. That way it doesn't distort your image. So again, let's get to the point where it was 25. The width was 25. Oh, or we can just hit undo. Okay. So I can move this around. I can see it. All right. Step 1 is upload the image. Step 2 is going to be to write a piecewise function. Now, what most of you didn't do was the piecewise function correctly. So if you can see here, I basically want, and you don't need to do this, I just want to show you what I want to do. I have a fairly straight line here, and then I have a arc that goes like this. Now, what's important to notice is that my arc stops here, and my arc stops here, but if I were to think about it in terms of an equation, or I was to think about it in terms of a graph, I could see that it would continue on vertically and angling down. The other thing is, I don't want to include this piece, this line here. I want to show that I understand how to use piecewise functions. So I want my line to have an arrow going this way, a straight line here. I want it to join here. I want it to curve up and over, join here, and then continue straight this way. Now, I could, if I wanted to, have it go this direction. I'm going to choose not to. This is what I want my graph to look like. So the first thing you have to do is ask yourself, when you take a picture, number 1, which parent function does this look like? And what part of the parent function am I using? So if I were to look at the assignment, you're going to include one parent function for the first image. So you're going to do this 3 times. You're then going to do 2 or more parent functions using something from the yellow highlighted. So you can see right now I'm doing part 2 because I'm using basically a quadratic. It's rotated, it's inverted across or reflected across the x-axis. It's going the other direction, but that's okay. the shape of the item is there. And then you will need to do it from the blue section. So I'll need to find something for these. So I'm also using a constant. And the reason why I put a straight line is you can't really use these for, you cannot use the ones with the red line for the initial, number 1. You can do these two. So I am using the quadratic and the constant for my graph. And that's the second thing you need to determine is what shapes do you see here that are going to be found in your graph or in your image. So we are using quadratic and we are using a straight line. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is determine which parts, so we've already got that the piecewise function happens here. Oh, we have it here. We have a transition here. We have a transition here. So for everything that happens from this point to the left, so for everything that is an x value, so right and left is always x value. And I'm going to say this is at approximately, I mean, it's not going to be 100% accurate, and that is okay. This one is going to be at, say, -9. So for everything that is less than -9, where x is less than -9, we're going to have a straight line, right? And if I look back at my image here, straight line is where f of x, the function, is equal to a number. So in looking at that, when x is less than -9, I'm going to say we have a line here, which is going to be at, we'll say it's y equals 1. So this is going to be 1. And for everything that where x is greater than 9, we're going to say the exact same thing because we're a car driving on this road and it'll go on and on forever this way. So for everything that is less than -9, it's going to be equal to 1. For everything where x is greater than 9, it's equal to 1. So let's practice putting that piece into our Desmos graphic calculator. So f of x is equal to, now this is the part that many of you messed up. You put a squiggle bracket. Then you put the first description. So where we said x is less than -9. And you can see almost immediately that a red line showed up here. See, a red line showed up. And it's saying, hey, for everything that's less than -9, there's this red line. And we're going to say something about it. For everything where x is less than -9, we are going to say, this is where you put the colon. What are we going to have? We are going to have the value 1. Then we're going to put a comma, because that part's done. Then for everything where x is greater than, we've already determined that's at greater than 9. look, another thing has shown up. We're going to do colon 1. And yes, I can see it's not 100% perfect if we wanted to adjust it. So we could say x is less than -8. So oh, look, it moved it. And then we could do an x is greater than, say, 10. Then we can adjust our lines as such. And if we wanted to do it up or down, we could move the 1. But let's leave it at this, that x is less than -8 and x is greater than 10. Now, we're going to leave it as a red line here. Let's zoom in a little bit. I could keep going. I would simply put a comma and then tell me the descriptions. Well, so now I'm looking at between -8 and +10. And I need to draw a different shape. So, just kind of help you see this. We've got our straight line here. Now I'm going to add my curved line. Remember, this is a quadratic. And because this quadratic is flipped upside down, we're going to change it to a negative. So, when f of x, and again, we're only wanting to see everything that is between these points. So when f of x is equal to, and you do the squiggle equals, we want the space between these. So it is when it's -8 is less than x is less than 10. So you can see we are now just taking the space in between. So x is in between those two values. You put a colon, and then we have to say, hey, what shape is it? If I were to do x squared, it's going the wrong way. So then I'm going to try -x squared. Okay, good. It's now in the right direction. But it's not fat enough. So maybe it needs to be -4x. Oh, 4 made it skinny. So I need to make it a number that's less than 1. So I'm going to pay 0.25. That's still not enough. 0.1. Ooh, I'm getting closer. 0.01. Oh, that's too much. 0.05. That looks really, really close. You can see it looks really, really close. Now, the only thing is I have to shift this up. So I am going to then put plus, and I want it to go up. So here's the 0. I want it to go up to 4.5. So plus 4.5. Now, if I wanted it to go down, I would do minus. If I wanted to move it to the right, how am I going to do that? All right, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make parentheses around my x, and I'm going to do opposite, because with the x it's always opposite. With the y it's the same. With the x it's the opposite. So I'm going to do, if I want it to go to the right, it needs to be a minus number, and if I want it to the left, it's going to be plus a number. So I'm going to do minus, because I want it to go to the right, -1. And you can see it moved slightly to the right. Now, I think this looks absolutely fabulous. Now, the only thing that I have a problem with is now my red line. My red line here is up too high. I need to bring it down. So I originally thought, hey, it needs to be at 1, but after I draw my lines, and maybe I can change my color of my lines. Oh, you double click on them. Or no, you click and hold. There you go. There, that's easier to see. Okay, once I've drawn my lines, I want to move the red one down. So, which number told us where it was located? The 1. So instead of being at 1, I'm going to move it down to 0.5. And you can see now that our graph comes across. Our road comes across. It intersects with our graph. It curls across and it extends out. So I have done my assignment 100% correct. Okay, I have uploaded the image. I have created a piecewise function. And then the last piece is to describe what I've done. So you can do the description in 100 different ways. You could write a sentence. The sentence is going to be, you're going to have to explain mathematically what happened. You could make a video, kind of like what I'm doing now, where you could describe that you used a quadratic graph, quadratic function, you flipped it across, or you knew it was arcing down, and so you needed to do a negative, and then you made it wider by putting a decimal in front of it. Then that you shifted it up by doing plus 4.5 on the end, and you had to line it up slightly closer to move it to the right by putting parentheses around the X. You could simply write that in a sentence form or make a video explaining it, kind of like I'm doing. This is what you have to do 3 times. So you have to find an image, upload it onto Desmos, figure out which of your parent functions you're using, draw the line, and then the last step is going to be to share this with me. You are not going to take a screenshot. You are going, and the reason is I want to be able to interact with this. I want to be able to look at the image. I want to make sure that there's no issues. I want to be able to, like, if I could change some numbers, and so I can help you better. There's lots of reasons for this. So, share graph. You're going to hit copy, and then you're going to submit this image to your assignment. So you're then going to submit the image here. This must be done this week. This must be done before Wednesday. No, before Thursday. I will grade these on Friday. I will also give you feedback on how you need to change things. On Friday, you're going to begin working on your project. So if you need me to check how you're drawing your lines, if you are having difficulty with figuring out which part of your piecewise function it is, if you are having problems with your lines and figuring out which functions to use, anything at all, you're going to send that link to me, and that will allow me to give more feedback to you in a more accurate way. You are going to have plenty of time to finish this. This is a 100-point test project. This is your final, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, you are going to have one parent function that's from any of them that are not marked out in red. You have to find something, either that you take a picture of or that you find online that you have experienced. So if you have gone there, if you have seen it, you can use it. You can be creative. It can be things around your house. Okay? So it can be things in the house, it can be things out of the house. It's something that you have experienced. So, any of the parent functions, so white, yellow, or blue. One of those. And this one's not going to have any piecewise. This one's just drop the image, put the lines, be done with it. You're going to do one of them that's going to have two or more. Very similar to what I did with the bridge today. You can do any of them that are yellow plus anything on here. So you can use constant, linear, absolute. You can do the logarithmic or exponential. You can do any of those in addition to one of the yellow, but one of them must be a yellow. And then the final task is to do one with the blue. So you have to find an image that has a logarithmic or exponential image shape line in it somewhere as part of your parent function. So again, it's piecewise, so you can do part of it, you see this line, and then part of it you don't. Okay? This is your final. You are able to do this. You've got this. I'm here to provide all the help you need. If you have any questions, remember today you must submit this link following these steps with your name instead for your assignment. Okay, I miss you all. I hope you are well. I'm here to help you. Take care, and I will talk to you soon.